Phillip Bump joins us. He's a national correspondent for The Washington Post. Phillip, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
As Nicole said there, it looks unlikely that an override will occur, correct?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, two-thirds majority in the House by itself requires, something like 100 Republicans to come on board. It's not quite that many, but it's unlikely to happen. Another 8 in the Senate. It's an uphill climb.
So where does this go from here then?
Well, I mean, the most natural place it's going to go next is to the courts. It's very likely it's going to face legal challenges potentially from Congress, this idea of using this emergency declaration this way. It's certainly going to face a legal challenge from people whose land will need to be seized in order to build the wall. There's going to be tons of eminent domain fights. I actually looked at this about a month ago. In 2006, they passed a bill to expand the wall. There's still eminent domain fights going on from that, so this thing's not going up anytime soon.
One of the things we've seen this week, Beto O'Rourke got in the race as far as the presidential race on the Democratic side. Before we talk about Beto, why are we seeing so many in this race so early? Yeah,
it's fascinating. I mean, if you look at 4 years ago, there were literally no major party candidates in the race at this point 4 years ago. Part of it, I think, is simply because everyone else is jumping in. People want to get part of the conversation. It's sort of a herd mentality. Part of it, too, is that the Democrats set a standard. If you can get 65,000 contributions before the first debate, you can be in the debate. And for some candidates, that's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take some time. So they're getting in early to start building those contributions as well.
We have to add, though, what's taking Joe Biden so long?
That's a fair question. I think one of the things that Biden has is he has the advantage of being a front runner coming out of the gate. So he doesn't need to build that same sort of name identity, the same sort of base of people who might be supporting him. He has that advantage. And I think he also likes the fact we're sitting here talking about him because he's not in the race yet.
Is there a deadline for him, do you think, at this point at which he probably doesn't want to go past in terms of making this decision?
Well, I think I don't really think so. I mean, I think the first debate's in June. I mean, he obviously wants to be on that debate stage. But, Donald Trump didn't enter the race until mid-June 2015 either. And it turned out okay for him.
Beto O'Rourke obviously comes with a more centrist message compared to some of the other candidates out there, but there are also questions about his experience right now.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, I think that the message that he's sort of leading with is the message of, I am a fresh face in this field. And I think that's something we've seen be advantageous in the past. He's coming as sort of a blank slate. I mean, yes, he in the past has had sort of a centrist record. He's also offering a lot of the same sort of progressive messages you've heard from other candidates. I think he is recognizing he has an advantage in sort of being someone that people can look at and say, I like him because X, even if X isn't really described him that well.
Let's turn to the Mueller investigation. The Justice Department has said they're ready, or signaled that they're ready to release what they know on this deadline, on this. What are we seeing here? What do you think is going to come out?
Well, we're not clear on when it's actually going to happen. We certainly heard rumors for a while about when this is going to come out. I mean, technically, Robert Mueller, when he's done with his work, he has to turn over to the Justice Department the findings, the rationale behind the actions he took, the actions he didn't. And then all the Department of Justice has to do is tell Congress, here are the things we kept him from investigating. That's literally the bare minimum of what they actually have to report publicly. There's a lot of political pressure on them to release more than that. And so it'll be interesting to see what we actually learn.
The House voted 420 to 0 this week, non-binding, we should say, to release this report. Lindsey Graham blocked this in the Senate. But, I mean, as you say, there's political pressure. What do you think we will see?
I think it depends on what's in the report, right? If, for example, there are indications in the report that Donald Trump is more culpable in some way than he would like to admit, he's going to be putting a lot of pressure on Attorney General Barr and the Department of Justice to keep that close to the chest. However, there's going to be huge political pressure. The more that Donald Trump withholds and the more that Barr withholds, the more it's going to look like they're hiding something. So it also is politically beneficial to the president to put out there everything that he possibly can so that he can say, look, I'm not hiding anything. There's nothing to suspect here.
We heard from Mike Pompeo. He dismissed news that Kim Jong Un is looking into starting again nuclear and missile testing. What do we know?
It's tricky, right? I mean, the North Koreans are in an advantageous position here, which is that they had worked to build an intercontinental ballistic missile and a nuclear weapon that could be miniaturized and fit on that missile. It seems as though they've done that, and now they hold that card. And it's always been the pressure is that the United States wants them to give up those weapons, but North Korea recognizes this is their bargaining chip, and so they're not going to do that over the short term. And that's always been the tension. Obviously, Secretary of State Pompeo knows more about this than I do. But that said, it's hard to see how North Korea is going to give up their only playing card in this game.
Phillip Bump of The Washington Post, thanks very much.
Of course.